White is the best CEO in America. Your kids are going to be taught about Dana White from textbooks when they get to college. Now, what did Dana just do? Dana was drunk on excitement a week ago, July 5th to be exact, when he gets asked questions about bringing the UFC to the White House lawn. Now, Dana told that story, and he was telling it to those guys that he likes. Full send. He's telling it to these guys, and said, I'd actually been talking with the president back and forth all day. We'd had 4 or 5 text messages. He never told me that he was going to make this announcement. So Dana's at home like the rest of us, gets an announcement, UFC coming to the White House lawn. He's pumped. He's ecstatic. This is incredible news. And he said he'd already been there. He'd already been there with Basari. They walked it off. He knows how to do a show. And he said, yeah, the president said we're doing it. He even starts breaking it down. Look, probably not going to be selling tickets. Probably going to be a real invite only. Don't want the Secret Service to have to deal with too much. Talked about the Lincoln Monument in relation to what the other backdrops will be. I mean, it just sounded like this really special event, and Dana was very excited. And it lost in the excitement. He committed to the idea, not committed to doing, he committed to the idea of doing Conor McGregor and Jon Jones. Got a little more specific with Jon, that it would be Jon versus Tom for the heavyweight championship if he had to do it today. And that was a little bit of an issue. It was a little bit of an issue just because he said this on July 5th, and the fight is, literally 1 year away for July 4th. It's literally 364 days away, and the landscape just changes so fast. If we were to do 365 days and put it in reverse, you guys weren't even interested in Tom Aspinall. You never said the words Tom Aspinall in the same sentence as Jon Jones. You were looking for Sergey Pavlich. And if we were to go back 2 of those little chunks of 365 days, you weren't even talking about Sergey Pavlich, didn't know who he was. Never mentioned Tom, weren't worried about Sergey. It was Jon versus Francis. So with in mind that it changes very quickly, and with in mind that if Tom sets the world on fire, why he would fight a guy a year of maturity and experience and skill later when the guy wouldn't fight him now. The whole thing's a little bit of a stretch, but if it's the White House and that's the special match, you understand where Dana would be talking about it, and Dana reeled it back in. He just said, look, real calm. He said, look, I can't put Jon in a big position anywhere, running the risk that something could happen, which means he doesn't go through with it. I just can't do that. And that gets exemplified if we're talking about the White House card, which is near and dear to me, and I want to get perfectly right. Why I have always been interested in learning from the UFC how they're going to handle this Jon Jones situation. Why I have been interested. It's because I believe we will then be told and shown how they handle the Conor McGregor situation. Conor McGregor was red hot, and he was rumored for everything. He was rumored for 300. He's rumored to go to 170. He's rumored to fight at 185. He's rumored for a new weight class of 165. He's rumored for a title fight at 55. Like, there was all these different rumors, and nobody stopped him. And there's a number of Conor rumors out there right now, but none of which are supported or created by the UFC. That's the difference. And this came roughly a year ago, a year and a week ago, when Conor McGregor pulled out of a press conference, simultaneously pulling out of a fight due to an injury that caused a discoloration in his pinky toe, or somebody's pinky toe, which may or may not have been broken and may or may not have been attached to Conor McGregor. And Conor has said ever since, I want to fight. They won't call me. For 1 year, I say, call me. They won't call me. I'm ready to fight anybody, anytime. I move weight classes. I just want to fight. They won't call me. And it's the only time that Conor hasn't sold power ever. And I started to believe it. Started to think, I think he is willing to fight, but he can't get anybody on the phone. They don't want to find themselves in a situation, right? If a guy will pull out of a fight due to a discolored pinky toe, which may or may not be broken, it's very hard to book him for a fight because every fighter walks into combat with worse than that. You saw 14 fights over the weekend from the UFC alone. All 14, red corner, blue corner, walked to the ring with something worse, more damaging and more painful than a discolored pinky toe. You hide it. It's impossible to go through a training camp where all you do twice a day is get punched and kicked, aside from the time when you're doing the punching and kicking. It is impossible to feel great. I would have no idea. Oh, you feeling great? I would have no idea what great feels like. I don't know. I'm good enough. Tell me when it's my turn. And if you're in a spot like that, to use Dana's words on Jon, I just can't put him in a big position. And that would very much go in line with Conor McGregor, who would get put into a big position, and they haven't revisited it no matter how good the money or potential money would be. So now there's a question with Jon. But what can he do? He's not going to be fighting Tom on the White House. What can he do? And I don't know that there's an answer, guys. I don't. It would seem as though, okay, all problems are solved. Let's just fix this one. Fight Tom now. Fight Tom now, rematch. We'll figure out who at the White House, or at least keep you in consideration, of which you currently are not in consideration. Now, that would be a very generous spot, but how could we get Jon back? Could we get him back just for the White House card? He puts his hand on a stack of trusted books and really makes you believe him. Well, no. No, because there's only one fight for Jon. So what would possibly be the point of putting Jon in there with your young stud, who by then is going to have another 2, if not 3 victories? He's going to be red hot. And if you know that's the only fight for Jon, even if you get him to do that one, before you fade to black and roll the credits, he retires, drop the belt, you find out that your heavyweight division's in this exact same spot that it was before he got here. You've now hired, booked, promoted, and paid a guy to come in and leave your company worse than when he found it. So I don't think it's just that Jon could do a contenders match to show that he's serious. I'm sure Jon would go fight Derek Lewis for $2 million. I believe that fully. And if you told him that that drew him into Aspinall and that would show that he was willing to do more than one fight, you still run into the problem of, what do I do on the back end of that fight? I've got a guy that is a maniac and a monster to deal with now. But he has no leverage because I took it away from him. Now I'm going to put him in a fight which rearms him with that very leverage. I mean, do you see where it gets to be a very tough spot? See where it gets to be a little bit of a confusing spot? And it's not as though it's unheard of. Amanda Nunes left and is essentially doing the same thing. Kayla gets in there. Kayla becomes a face and a star. Kayla gets ready to defend. You're bringing Amanda back to stop her. But Amanda didn't go out on unsettling terms. Amanda told everybody, and she told them in advance, and she told them why, and her reasons were very good. And if you looked at her resume, she had beaten everybody and was prepared to beat everybody twice. She wasn't not only losing fights, Amanda wasn't losing rounds. It was time for some fresh blood. Very different scenario. Many would say done for selfless reasons, as opposed to selfish reasons. So we don't quite have our answer on Jon Jones, but the negotiating has begun. And Jon and a return against Tom at the White House is not going to happen. Does that mean that Jon and a return and Tom in 2025? A fight that is yet to be announced. Jon said he's training. He's back in the pool. He's staying sharp. He said he's a professional. It would seem as though Jon could recapture that glory sooner rather than later, if that's an opportunity that's going to be given. And if it is an opportunity that's going to be given, if I'm in Jon's shoes, I want to go out and get it right now.